new 105.3 The Beat is the voice of DJ Scream. Of course, it's Hoodrich Radio. We got family in the building, man. The legend, man. He's an entrepreneur, a rapper, some say an activist, everything, man. He wears many hats. Welcome, Killer Mike to Hoodrich Radio. What's up, my brother? How you been?
Queen, what up, man? How you doing?
Man, no complaints, man. We here. That's the most important thing.
No.
Let me just start off, man. How does it all feel? I've known you for some time, of course. You know what I'm saying? How does it all feel, bro? Because for one, you've been relevant and doing your thing for a long time now, which is a blessing. Because a lot of people, they get 1 or 2 years in this and that's it. But you've been
Yeah, it's like sports.
yeah, exactly. But you've been a staple. What would you say? Going on 15,
17 years.
17 years.
17 long with cash, yeah.
Wow. How does it feel, bro?
It's a blessing. I never really think about it because I never, you get to thinking too much. You get to thinking what you got and what you don't have and anything. I just love being in the game and excited to play it. So I
Right.
have no
Right.
complaints. I
Right.
want to be like Scarface and Bun B and Cube, like
There you go.
dope as long as I want to be.
Yeah. And then with wearing so many hats, and I know this is somewhat of an unfair question. What do you enjoy the most, man? Like, do you still
What
have
I
the
enjoy
same
the most.
passion in the booth as you do
Yeah.
when you go out and you speak to masses of people? Like, what still excites you?
Yeah, I love my job. I wanted to be a breakdancer. I was too chubby to backspin, so I ended up being a rapper and loving rap. So in
Right.
terms of me and what I do, it's an honor. So I take it seriously, and I love it. So
Mm.
I love my job. And with that said, I love without Killer Mike the rapper, the other Killer Mikes publicly don't matter as much because people enter, knowing me through music, and now they know me for many other things. But the cornerstone of why I'm here is rap music.
And one of the things that I think is so dope, man. I'm gonna talk a little bit of deeper hip hop with you, man. You gotta understand, like when I first heard that there would be Run the Jewels. This is two of my favorite rappers. There's Killer Mike, who I always said is massively underrated, but we won't get into that right now. And then there's LP, who I used to tell people there's this white guy LP that's a better rapper than Eminem, and they were like, "What are you on drugs?" Like I'm like, "Nah, I'm telling you, I stand on that." You know what I'm saying? How did that even happen? Did that come from fanfare? Like y'all being fans of each other? Did y'all just bump
Now
into?
we knew of each other peripherally. We knew of each other's music, but Jason DeMarco from Adult Swim, who's the vice president over at Adult Swim,
Mm,
he is a music connoisseur and just a great guy. And he put me and L together for my album Rap Music. And what was supposed to be 3 songs and we're done turned into him doing the entire album, us building a sound much like Ice Cube and Bomb Squad built, and us, going into what's now Run the Jewels, just
mm,
forming a partnership based on friendship and mutual love of rap music.
right.
And before you know it, it just developed a life of its own and kind of took off. And here we go.
Outside of the studio, you know what I'm saying, being from obviously two different races, do y'all have conversations about the things that go on, police brutality, some of the things that you say? Do y'all ever have maybe
Yeah,
disagreements on
like friends.
topics?
Nah, we don't have disagreements over like L's a white liberal New Yorker, and I'm a black, very independent Southerner. So our conversations or disagreements or difference of views are probably more in line culturally and racially. Like in New York, they ain't big on say guns. In the South, I've never not had been around guns. So
Right, right, right,
we had some ideological differences that we grew to meet a middle ground. Like now, L is a gun owner. I will never
right,
not be a gun owner. You know what I mean? But
right.
but in terms of the racial stuff, L's been, lived in a mixed community his entire life. He's had black friends his entire life.
Mm,
Me growing up in Atlanta, a very insulated black city in the state of Georgia, I never really saw white people as any threat or anything because I didn't have any around me. I didn't
mm,
know them. So, all the good guys and bad guys in my movie were black. So
right.
I really judge people by the content and their character based on that. So, our friendship formed easily, and we're outraged by a lot of the same things
Mm,
in different ways sometimes. Like you listen to the song Walking in the Snow off the new album,
mm,
L is rallying against white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christians in this country that call themselves Christian and can allow some of the atrocities
mm,
happen without raising a word. And then I take that same sentiment and squeeze it into a very personal story of police brutalizing black men and telling people at the end, you'll never forget that the state killed Jesus, your Messiah. Well, that's two different. L is speaking from a very macro perspective, and my personal story on it is from a very micro perspective. But both perspectives work hand in hand, and oftentimes we do that. And, I think we got we got a good relationship going beyond music. We're just friends and love each other's brothers. That's not gonna change.
Right. Man, I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm having a difficult time with something, man. I've been trying to rally, and you know how it is, Atlanta. I've been trying to rally a lot of people that don't care nothing about voting or politics to express themselves and to vote. Just vote. I'm not gonna tell you who to vote for. So give me some advice, man, because I'm not gonna say I've definitely been able to touch some people, especially with the things that have went on with the police and everything. But there's just some people who they not even felons or nothing. They just like, bro, I'm gonna sit at home and not vote because I just don't believe in the system and I don't believe in that politics can help me. So help me reach those people, bro.
Well, on a very local level, nothing matters more than things like you counting yourself in the census. Well, Mike, why does counting myself in the census matter? Because if you're from Southwest Atlanta, there are going to be resources that you deserve, and if we don't know you're there, then the politicians aren't going to allocate the resources there, so they don't overlook your area, your district. Your municipality knows how many people there, and you're there. And the next thing with voting on the local level matters a lot. Say, for instance, in the Atlanta mayoral election, the last two Atlanta mayors, both black and a majority black city, have not even won by 800 votes. They've won by 702, 720 votes.
I didn't even.
So that's how. Yeah, that's how important your vote is. Your vote. My high school graduating class is 500 people. It's only 200 people short of more than the class I graduated with decide who leaves my city for 4 years. That's pretty important. And if you recognize the power of your vote and you properly organize it, then you can have a bully pulpit in terms of the resources that come into your community. So I would advise people to not only vote, but organize your vote in your community and on the behalf of others, and use your vote as a leverage and a weapon.
So as on an intelligent level, speaking as intelligent black men talking to people who speak that way, they'll receive that. Now, to the knuckleheads, we both know they'll be like, yeah, bro, but I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we reach?
I mean, if you don't, I mean, it's just as simple. If you don't participate in it, you're gonna be a victim of it.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's on a very real level. If you think the water boys who selling water at the side of the street, if you think they need to be protected or have some type of protection in terms of the city shutting them down, then you need to find out what city councilman supports them, and you need to work with them, or just shut the fuck up complaining. Yeah. That's just the way it works. So you gotta, in my mind, not because I'm a rapper and I decided I want to be in politics, but because my grandmother was very involved, and she was just a nurse every step of the way. Though if something was going on in her community, she was there. And if you don't be a participate in it, you're going to be a victim of it. People who are not from your community are going to decide what happens in your community, and then you're gonna be mad or looking crazy or wondering why we get pushed out of our housing. Well, one of the weapons you have is the weapon of voting. Use it as a weapon. It's like a gun. If you're in the streets, you don't have to use a gun every day, but you make sure you got it on you. So you don't have to vote, but it makes more sense to have that vote on you when you need it and to have it organized. So if you look at right now, there's a prosecutor's race going on in Atlanta. You need to be saying to yourself, these two different people are trying to be the prosecutor in my city. Who am I going to vote for? Well, as prosecutors, how did both of them do? Who was more for restoration and restorative justice, and who was more for just locking niggas up? You need to go do that. You can start Googling and find that stuff out, So if you don't participate in it, you're bound to be a victim of it. So I would encourage those to participate.
Could you ever see yourself running for any type of office?
Man, I'm trying to run to the bank a lot more in the next 5 years and then run out the country.
He said, I feel you though. You know what I'm saying? I think that some people, obviously, to be honest, if you ran, you'll have a solid chance probably of definitely winning. You know what I mean? But I think that there needs to be people outside of politics to influence politicians who have a love for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like your politician coming and trying to do a rap album. Like,
yeah. At whatever point I do run for the office, it'll be very local. It'll be very specific as to why, and there will be a time limit because I really want to get back to balling and smoking weed and going to the Blue Flame. So
right.
You ain't got to worry about me wanting to leech off you for 30 or 40 years.
That's hilarious, man. How you been kicking it
That's
through
the
this?
truth.
How you been kicking it through this pandemic and all this COVID and Corona, man? Um,
Boosting my immune system with
yeah, me
whatever
too. You know I
witchcraft my
caught it,
wife
right? You
sees.
know I caught it.
I did, and I'm glad you survived it though.
Yeah, I did. Just fever, couple interesting days, but now I'm back on the
Yeah, I'm
treadmill.
glad you're good. Yeah, exactly. Hit at Fit FX with Al, hitting the gym every day, cutting some weight and smoking less, but getting high as ever because we got that new Run the Jewels lemonade strain
There you
out.
go.
And
There you go.
the other thing is, it's gave me a lot more time with my wife and children. So I've been blessed in this time of pandemic to value what matters most, and that's my health and my family and friends. So
Banner
you
was
know,
saying that to me. He called me and he was like, "Man, it's so beautiful just to maybe in the middle of the day just sit your ass down."
man, it's the middle of the day. I'm sitting there on the other thing. I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna drive to one of my barber shops. I'm gonna let the air conditioning man do his job, and then I'm gonna go to the studio for a few hours and come home like a regular job, like a regular guy.
Yeah.
It really feels amazing, to be able to just slow down and enjoy my wife and children. So, and again, in the midst of this horrible time, and the silver lining has been for me getting that opportunity to just be still, like your grandparents would say, be still while the Lord is working.
There
To
you go.
just really be still. It's been a blessing.
What would you say to the streets, man? After we come from protests and so many things that were forward for our black culture, and then we come back and we see like an uptick of just murders in the streets, young girls getting shot, and murdered, I should say, like at the hands of black people. What would you say to the streets? What would be your message to the streets after in a year such as this, where sometimes that seems like our work backtracks because of some of the stuff that happened in
Yeah.
the community?
First, I want to acknowledge programs like Next Level Boys Academy, like Gary Davis, who's doing a lot to help young men sort through their feelings of frustration and anger and be on the path toward young mandom and adulthood. So I want to give a shout out because I don't want it to seem bleak. I just want to say to the streets out there, especially to the young men, man, the war that you guys are fighting with one another, we're better served with y'all fighting in solidarity together to
Mm-hmm.
advance us. Because y'all got the same masters. Don't matter if you're blood or crip. Doesn't matter if you're from the west side or the east side,
Mm-hmm.
north side or the south side. The same people that are profiting from y'all enslavement, prison, are hoping that all y'all trick yourself off the streets. So I would implore these young men, man, to take time, even if you hate them, even if you don't like them, to take some time and give it some time, and to give the big homies, some encouragement to mediate some of these small beats that turn into bigger beats. Because, a city like Atlanta, you get to killing each other, and there's a whole state of very conservative folks who don't look like you wanting to take your city, wanting to take your city to your school system. They want to take you where you live. They want to push you out to the suburbs and cut off, all transportation. They want to leave you on an island to die, essentially. So your behavior is going to help that happen, that agenda, or it's going to stop it. So we have to be accountable to ourselves first and to one another, not to destroy ourselves and one another. So when I see something of a young black man killing another young black man or accidentally killing someone else, I say he's destroyed three lives most of the time in two families. He destroyed his life, the life of the victim, you know what I'm saying, of whoever else loved that victim, and then the families on both sides, because your family gonna mourn the next 20 years of life you in jail, and that family's gonna mourn forever. So we all black people, even if we in different tribes. Let's be more responsible with the life God has given us, and let's focus more on conflict resolution. Let's focus more on some peace treaties between one another instead of warfare and this constant bickering. You can't help a lot of times that you're killing the other person in terms of what they look like, because everybody who look like you live around you. But you can help in self-control how you let your anger affect you in terms of matter of murder and malice in terms of people who look like you.
What would you say to the young brother out there or sister or anyone, youth that, you know, may not be well off? You know what I'm saying? We all come from humble beginnings. You know what I'm saying? I hustled mixtapes. You were an MC.
I met you hustling mixtapes. Yeah,
Yeah.
right up Super Sound.
And I always tell that story too. You created DJ Scream, so I always
Yeah.
owe you royalties. You said you better get on that mic and tell them who you is, man.
You
I
are
was like,
for real. You
wow.
so soft spoken, man. But you was a hell of a dude. I was like, man, I remember telling the dude, like, man, this kid got the best mixtape. His name DJ Scream, but you can't get him to say three things, man.
I went and
You didn't
practiced.
turn into a yeller, but you definitely turned into a talker, man.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
good
yeah.
to see.
You got to find the balance. But what would you say if that kid got $20, bro, and no hope, and they in the projects, and mom ain't well off, dad ain't well off, or pops is locked up, pops ain't around? Like, it's some bad circumstances for some people. What would you say?
Oh man, it is bad. It is fucked up. But I can promise you this. I can promise you that if you push like hell and educate yourself as much as you can,
Mm-hmm.
I promise you that after high school, if you take up a trade or a specific subject in any post-secondary school, be it HVAC or carpentry or haircutting, or if you're lucky enough to make it to college, but do something specialized, engineering, medicine, law. If you do that, and if you don't have children until you're married, I promise you, you're not going to be poor. Now, you may be poor through your childhood, you may be poor through high school, it may be a struggle, but I promise you, if you push to get more education and it's specialized, if you keep a job and you do that as you're getting that education, and that education will reward you with a better job, right? So if you take, I'm gonna take 2 years to work this punk ass job at UPS that I don't like, but I'm going to electrician school. After 2 years, you'll be making no less than 70, 80 grand a year. And this is you at 19, 20, 21 years old. Then you can start to invest in things like invest in your first home, first piece of property commercially that you can rewire yourself, save yourself money. If you do those things, and if you don't have children until you marry, I ain't mean because you like the girl or y'all humping on each other, until you decide I'm gonna be with this woman. If you do that, you exponentially grow your opportunity to make sure you'll never be poor again. I promise you, if you do those things, you won't be poor.
Like
now, doesn't mean you're not gonna be poor in high school because you don't have control of that circumstance as a child. But with that said, if you're a child and you poor and your mama say, well, I want to buy you some $120 Jordans, it might be smart as a child to say, okay, get me those. And instead of wearing them, flip them. To get on the internet, start an IG accounts, the ones your mama caught for 120, to sell them for 130, and then repeat process. And that works because I did it with cocaine when I was your age.
Okay.
And that was the wrong product to do it with, but it taught me how to defer my want. So if I wanted something, I had to get the 50 sack, go to Kirkwood, chop it up, trap it off, go. I had to wait till I got my joint. So I never been a first day of the joint dropping guy. I had to wait for the third or fourth because I had to trap to get my joint. You have an opportunity to never do anything illegal and trap Jordans. You have an opportunity to do things like work in a mentorship project that the city of Atlanta and other places have. So you have opportunities that people didn't have. Now, you young, you don't know the opportunities. You just know life has been hard. But I can tell you, man, America is one of the only places in the world I've ever seen poor people wear Michael Jordans. And that doesn't mean you're not poor. That just means that if you adjust your perspective, you can profit in the midst of poverty. If you're a young girl, you can learn how to braid hair. You can charge less than what salons. If you're a young man, you can learn how to cut hair. But there are things that people need from you while you're young that you can do that are not illegal that will make you money. I don't care if it's just making the best chicken and waffles you could possibly make and selling plates. But there are things that you can be doing now. And I encourage you to do those things now, because if you get caught in the illegal game in that system, you're just going to be used as a slave by the system. And those things aren't constant, you know what I mean? So I would encourage kids to learn a trade as early as you can, because that trade is much better than a job. It's going to take you a lot further. And sometimes you have to accept that this is just what it is now. Right now, I am poor, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stay poor. Right. The more I educate myself, the less likely I am going to be to stay poor. So make sure that in the midst of being poor, you don't become depressed. You don't become impoverished in hope, in spirit, because none of us had it growing up. None of us had it. But I think that people like us a lot of times had the determination and the skill and the will to push forward. So I want to see more young people succeeding, but do those things. Finish high school, finish some type of post-secondary trade-based skill. You know what I mean? Don't have children until you're married, and take yourself more seriously than others, especially boys. We give ourselves sexually away to any girl who will have us. And then you end up with a baby mama. Y'all never really liked each other. And then when they want the child. So I'm going to tell boys, man, be more restrained with yourself. Take care of yourself. Because once you have a child, man, the world's going to treat you as a man, even if you're not. And no one cares about a grown-ass man.
Message from Killer Mike, man. Your message is always so powerful, man. Final question for you, man. Trigger Warning Season 2. Bro, there's nothing I want to see more on TV more than Trigger Warning Season 2. Give us some type of ETA or perspective on what's going on.
I don't know, because the world is closed, but I'm working on a few things that are television-based that are cool, and they're going to be trigger warning worthy and better.
Okay. All right, we can accept that. We will accept that. Appreciate you pulling up the Hoodrich Radio. Much continued success to you. Y'all check out the new Run the Jewels project. Y'all check out the new video, the new cannabis strain, and all that.
Yeah, man. Love and respect, brother.
All right, salute.